Then, when we are ready, really hot, we go to the bookstore and cover all the Glenn Beck books with copies of The Audacity of Hope. I do this about once a week. You can tell I am a very exciting girl. Or if this is not your thing, we can just get drunk and have mad, passionate sex.
All right, Tom, you're up.
Oh, great.
Welcome to Divorce with Friends, the podcast that reminds you if you are gonna walk out on a date, Tom, do not wear a ridiculous jacket or run out across the windows and hope that she doesn't see you. I am Bobby Vito, and joining me as always is my friend, my colleague, my partner, Tom. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm great. I can't complain. It's a little rainy today.
It's very rainy. It's gross out. Yeah.
It's pretty gross. But we're here. We're recording. We're feeling good, right?
Yes, I am.
You're feeling good.
Well, pretty good. We'll get to that.
We're gonna get to it.
Yeah.
We're gonna get. We have a lot to unpack, as they say.
Yeah.
We want to start with some listener feedback. I love the listener feedback because it reminds us that you are listeners and that you listen.
Again, this is amazing. We're always very grateful.
Very grateful.
Kind of incredible.
I think it's good feedback because it was, hey, so I listened to the podcast.
Yep.
We have 4. This
Yep.
is number 5.
Yeah.
And they say, you don't plug where to find you until the end,
Yeah.
which is valid.
Right.
Because we don't have a website yet.
No.
So where can you find us?
So it's 2025.
It's 2025.
it needs a website.
So here's where you can find us. You can email Tom and I.
Yep.
Right? We check our email all the time.
Yep.
We do get them, but
Yep.
you can listen to the first 5 seconds of this and get it now instead of listening to the whole thing.
Yep.
But you can find us at divorcewithfriends@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Instagram at divorcewithfriends.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Twitter at divorcewfpod. But I want to tell you right now that that's not being updated that well right now.
Fair.
We are in the process of working on some social media directors. There's 2 in the can.
Ooh, nice.
One of them I'm not a huge fan of.
Oh, really?
One of them I like. Her name's Meg.
Okay.
She's good.
That sounds great.
She's got a sister named Jill.
Oh, not a fan?
Don't like her.
Wow.
Don't
okay.
like her.
That's kind of tough. Are they a package deal or what are we doing?
I didn't think so.
Oh.
But then Meg was like, I have to work with Jill.
Okay.
I think it's because their mom has to drop them off together.
Oh.
But then I was like, I just give you access.
Yeah.
You could do it from home.
Okay.
But I think that Jill doesn't have many friends. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
But I think Meg and Jill have to come together.
Okay.
But I like Meg.
Okay.
Meg does good work.
All right.
So that's really what's going on with the listener feedback. So did you have any feedback or some corrections we want to talk about? I think you had some takes on last episode with somebody we talked with.
Sorry, you jarred my memory. I forgot him because he's kind of insignificant. He's from the backwoods. A lot of people. So I got a lot of feedback that people hated him and his accent is terrible and he was really bad on the pod. And people saying like, oh, he's committed X crime, he's committed Y crime. That's why he fakes this Toronto accent and runs away. He was actually like, he's from like a poor town. Rhymes with Erica or something like, and he's on the run and things like that. So I don't know if any of that's true, but I just wanted to get that out there because it's like we don't want international criminals on the podcast talking about all kinds of Canadian cliches and things like Molson and whatever. I mean, and again, we're trying to improve our relations with that country.
We are. Well, it's funny because as soon as that dropped, I don't know if people were just searching it.
Yeah.
Our first listener from Ontario, our first natural listener from Ontario showed up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not going to be a good look.
It's probably law enforcement in Ontario. They're probably tracking it.
It's the mounted police.
Yeah, I would imagine he won't come back on because they're probably onto it.
Well, you know who was pretty pissed about his appearance?
Ooh, who?
The Greek.
The Greek, yeah.
Because I saw them Sunday.
Okay.
And then again on Monday.
Yeah.
And I heard about it from the Greek on Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
And then I got a text from the Greek about it.
Okay.
And then the Greek was like she was asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
She was not happy with the answers that I gave.
Wow.
I can tell you that.
She's our number one fan. You know that thing where in the Howard Stern movie where actually it's Giamatti, right?
Yeah.
And he comes in,
Pig
pig
vomit.
vomit, and he comes in and they're telling him the survey and they're like, oh, all these people listen and they hate him. But the people who like him listen for like 5 minutes, and the people who hate him listen for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, why do they listen? Because they hate him. He's like, they want to hear what he has to say next.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So she's our number one hater, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Greek hangs out with a bunch of moms that I also know.
Okay, yeah.
And she talks about the podcast. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you have a podcast? What's
Yeah.
it about? And then she tells them before I get to say a word.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
they're already like, that doesn't sound good. And she's like, I know, I tell them all the time. I'm like, oh, God.
bad idea.
I know.
Yeah.
So the Greek,
That's- yeah.
but you know what, though? It's okay, because I'd rather have them hate listen, because
Yeah.
because if we
No,
can get the
that's true.
Greek on, they'll listen.
And
for
listen,
a-
yeah, we're always open to feedback and
Yeah.
new ideas.
So it's okay. So we're good there. So with that in mind, one of the things we did talk about last week was the next generation paying for their dates, and we joke about having like sort of some canned sweeper. To
Yeah, because there's a
apologize.
lot of. So I'm like I'm the woke.
You're the woke guy,
on the
yeah.
podcast, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of me saying like, hey, we probably need a female
I
perspective
agree.
here, right?
Yeah.
So instead, it's almost like you have a stamp instead of signing everything manually, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do we need me to say that every time, or could we just play a bumper?
Yeah. So there's this thing that happens online. I told you, I sent this to you and Toronto Rob a few times.
Yeah.
I don't think she's AI. I think she's real.
Okay.
She's a social influencer who cooks.
Yeah.
And she's got a giant face.
Got it.
Okay. Oddly, what happens? I think this happens to my face too.
Yeah.
I think the more that you look at it,
Yeah.
the better looking it is.
Okay. I've always said that about your face.
I think so too. I think the first time you look at it, it's very jarring. You're like, that's a big face. But the more you look at it, the more handsome it gets, more beautiful she is.
Sure.
And what she does, and this is where I can't tell if it's AI or she's in on the joke or she is the joke. She I think the ladies will correct me. Ladies correct me. She stencils her lips.
Okay.
So it makes her lips look bigger than they are.
Okay.
And they always freeze frame her with this big, giant, scary smile.
Okay.
Okay. And then this chorus. So somebody takes the comments and they read/sing the comments
Okay.
to this power ballad.
Yeah.
And I wanted the internet, somebody, to make us a bumper sweeper apology song like that.
Okay.
So here's one of hers.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
to kind of
for
give you an
context,
idea.
yeah.
I love it. It fires me up. It makes me want to do sex to her. But
Okay.
I love it. And this is kind of where I'm going with ours. So before we
Okay.
tell you what ours is, this is what hers is.
This is the background. This is the
So this is the background of hers.
Make something not Italian.
Lipsticks are single use.
So again, it's all about her face.
She even talks behind her own back.
It's all about her big mouth.
One sneeze and everyone is drenched. Microphone not needed.
Get ready for it. Get ready for it.
When she gives head, she also gives shoulders, knees, and toes. She can sing 2 songs at once.
I mean, this is so bad. It goes on for like a minute now. And
Different time zones, it's diabolical. She eats pickle sideways.
oh, she eats pickle sideways.
Okay.
She does have a huge mouth. So here's the thing.
Who is making that?
I don't know. I
You
don't
don't
know.
know?
So I think
But that's a YouTube video of its own. That's like a reaction
I
video?
found this on Twitter.
On Twitter,
But I've
okay.
seen them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's always of her. And there's multiple of them.
Okay.
But I love them. And I can't I will watch the same one over and over and over again.
So hearing
It's
things
like a good
this,
song.
and I have kids in high school,
Yeah, yeah.
so this happens to me a lot. Hearing the origin story of that
Yeah.
and what people are doing online makes me want to just like drop out of society.
okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's like there's sometimes when I just look at things and I'm just like, yeah, this is too much for me to get caught up on.
Totally get it.
Yeah, I should probably do
here's the thing. It's
But
like
yeah, that's fine.
That's like my foot fetish porn. I don't know why I like
Not
it.
your ASMR. So does it put you to sleep or it gets you excited?
It gets me. It makes me.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
it makes me when I see it. Like I want
Yeah.
everybody. I want to either excuse myself from the party or
Right.
tell everybody they have to leave.
Got it.
I don't know
Okay.
what's going on.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Was I was like, that's the idea that I want.
Sure.
For our apology bumper.
Okay.
Sort of that chorusy sing song.
Yeah.
Explode into this like funny
Sure.
bumper.
Yep.
So I found like an AI thing that said it could do it.
Okay.
Okay. So I typed in what our podcast was about.
Yeah.
And what we wanted it to do.
Yeah.
And we got a first attempt. And let me tell you, Tom, it was like, hey, so we're 2 middle-aged white guys.
Right.
We're not right about things, and we openly admit it, but we're trying really hard,
Right.
right? We love all people. We try hard, but we have our opinions.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. I swear to God, AI was like, hey, David Duke, I got you on this one. And it wrote us the most racist, awful thing. I was like, AI, take a seat. Sit this one
Wow.
out. It was so bad. I sent it to you, and I was like, I don't want to accidentally hit publish because it had our email attached to
Yeah.
it, and that could be really bad. So I had AI soften it up a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm going to play that for us right now. It's still not good,
Right.
but this is where we're going to go with it. Because eventually we will have like a quick 15, 20-second
Right.
bumper.
But not this one.
But no, this is still pretty shitty.
Got it.
But I think we're on to something that's on the vein of my fantasy girl with big face who eats pickle sideways. Okay? All right? All right. So this is sort of where we're going with it.
Yeah.
See? So it's kind of got that like electric Trey Parker,
Yeah.
Matt Stone.
Totally, yeah.
Right? It's kind of a joke. Imagine me auto apologizing to this. Not starting good. Not great. Oof. Oof. Oof.
If we were doing like a men's rights rally,
Yeah.
this would be a good,
Yeah.
good theme song. Yeah.
So I
in the
think-
sun, because we're white.
We're very
Very
white.
subtle AI.
But I feel like it's taking white as like it's a good thing. It's not. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that.
Well.
It's got a good shred solo in it.
Okay.
You know who would love this song?
The Ku
Andy
Klux
Jones.
Klan? Oh, yeah.
Oh, Andy Jones would love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andy Jones would send it to all the other Jones brothers, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is the best I've ever heard." But either way, so we're working on it. So just so you know, we're still working on that can bumper. We have an idea
Yes.
of where it's
Yeah.
going to go.
Well, it's literally the opposite idea of that, though.
Totally.
So I don't really know.
It's not perfect, but I think
That AI tool is not sponsoring the podcast.
No,
for the
no,
record.
no. In
Yeah.
fact, if I told our sponsors that we used that money,
Yeah,
on it,
they would
our
walk.
sponsorship would have been canceled.
Yeah.
So, but ultimately, I think we have good direction of where we want to go. With it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have some good stuff to go
Good.
on that one. So that's our updates and our corrections. I do want to give some merch updates. So last time we talked about merch, and we had some ideas, some great ones come in. Kevin, our merch guy, Kevin was like, "What about condoms? You put your logo, which is a fire logo.
Okay.
Put them on condoms.
Okay.
Drop them around the city.
Whoa.
And
Okay.
suddenly people are fucking to a Divorce
Okay.
with Friends logo." And I said, "Kevin,
Wow.
here's the problem." Kevin's
Yeah.
like, "What's the problem?" I was like, "You have a notoriously large penis."
Oh.
Kevin's like, "I know." So Kevin said that just so I would talk about it on the podcast.
Right.
So mission accomplished,
Oh,
Kevin.
he hated you.
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
want me to do that. I think it's a good idea, but he wanted me to say it. What
Okay.
Kevin's real idea was ringer shirts, because Kevin's very stylish.
Okay.
So they were the shirts that we put online.
Yep.
The black shirts.
Yeah.
The ringer.
Yep.
So those shirts can be purchased.
Okay.
The thing about those shirts, and we're looking for a better vendor right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the more people who want the shirts,
Yeah.
and we have like 20 people who want them,
Yep.
the cheaper they are. We're not going to put them out for the masses right now. We're
Okay.
at the $30 price point, which we have.
Yeah.
So once we hit like the 50 people mark,
Yep.
we can get them like at $20, and then we're okay with telling people to buy them.
Okay.
So just keep telling us where your heart is with those shirts.
Yeah.
And then we'll let you know.
Yeah.
There's some performance hoodies coming. As
Oh,
well.
I thought you were gonna say condoms. Okay.
No.
Performance.
What are we, Kevin? No.
Yeah.
They don't make them in those sizes. Kevin, you know that, and that's why you said it, Kevin. But we do love the idea. So shirts are on their way. Condoms, probably not right
TBD,
away.
yeah.
Probably not right away. But that's where we are with that. A segment that's been very popular lately is the news.
Nice.
Right? We've been doing the news.
Below
And there's a story that went around maybe a month ago. It's a real story. We had to do our research because
Yep.
it sounds fake. But it came from The Sun over in the UK. And there's a woman named Christine Connell, and her boyfriend broke up about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the past 7 years, she's actually been plagued by a stuffy nose and facial pain, right? So her
Yes.
face has been in constant pain, and she doesn't know why. She
Yeah.
can't figure it out. 7 years. That's a long time, Tom.
Yeah.
Right? I've had a headache for 2 days. I thought it was cancer. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
7 years with facial pain. What are you going to do? So she goes to her doctor, right? She goes. I don't know if they call the doctor in Europe. Maybe it's just a doctor. What do you
Probably. Yeah.
think? We should have.
It's just paid for by the government.
true.
You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
Speaking of big lib,
They do it right over there.
like here.
So over there, she goes over and she finds out what's going on, and it turns out it's E. coli up her nose. And do you know why she says she got it?
Because I know the story.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
What do you got?
Because of a fart.
An
right?
aggressive.
An
fart.
aggressive fart.
We'll call it. This segment is called the aggressive Dutch oven. We've all been there.
So you read the story, right?
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So what is logistic? So one, how can she pinpoint the fart Like, who's the author of the fart 7 years earlier or whatever? How does she know?
The good news
She's
is-
obviously accusing the boyfriend, right?
So this is not just an article. So
Yeah.
if it was just an article, it would have been like
Yeah.
to me like an Onion article.
Okay.
Like I'm not buying
No,
it.
obviously, yeah.
Like, I'm not buying any of this.
Right.
I'm reading this while in the bathroom, maybe scrolling, finding pickle side.
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
But she's got a full clip. Right. You want to hear it?
Yes, do it.
Today I realized that I think my ex-boyfriend got the best possible breakup revenge that anyone could ever get. We dated like 7 years ago. I've had a persistent sinus infection ever since he and I stayed in a hotel one night after I had surgery. And he farted terribly. Like, I couldn't breathe. I've never, ever smelled anything that even compares to that. And
That's aggressive.
I got
fart.
my sinus infection cultured today. I've gotten it like imaged. I've had all of these tests done. Doctors haven't been able to figure it out. And it is E. coli. And usually don't get E. coli in your sinuses because E. coli is from poop. So like, I don't know. How does that get in your sinuses unless you have a boyfriend who farts disgustingly and you are forced to inhale it because you are immobile after ankle surgery? Oh my God.
There you have it, Tom. E. coli up the nose caused. Well, how's this? Silver lining.
Yeah.
She now knows.
I'm a little flummoxed with this story. Like,
Do you buy it first of all?
Well, does that just persists for 7 years?
I always thought like like E. coli. Like don't go to McDonald's as an E. coli because somebody died.
Right. It was the meat. That was rewatching West Wing.
Yeah.
And that was a big scare. They were right. They're worried about mad cow. They're worried about
Yeah.
E. coli and the meat supply. Yeah.
That's
what we used to worry about before the pandemic. And,
I mean, look, I was married.
yeah.
The Dutch oven is a staple of marriage.
Wow,
Right?
okay.
You walk in the room, what's that smell? Someone's laughing. It's not you, Tom.
I've never Dutch. Well, now that's assault. That's like assault.
You know what the kids call it? They don't call it Dutch ovens because they don't know.
What do they call it?
Hotboxing.
Oh, is that what they call it?
That's what they call it. I crowdsourced that one.
Okay.
I crowdsourced.
Okay, I believe it. Yeah, I do think that's kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
I think hopefully nobody else is getting E. coli, but I think that's I think too, if you think about like breakups and divorce, hygiene is probably. I mean, divorce is like pretty heavy, but I bet like when you think about like the litany of things that pile up, right, in a divorce, hygiene is probably a big one, right?
Oh,
just because like
yes.
like who's cleaning what, everything's like a scale, right? It's like, oh, you don't clean up this stuff, you don't clean up that stuff, you don't take care of yourself in this way, you don't take care of yourself in this way. So yeah, this is probably emblematic. That's a more egregious example. But, yeah.
I mean, you know me for a long time.
Yes.
I think it's pretty fair to say like I'm a cleanly guy.
Yes, you're
Right?
very clean.
My hair. I mean,
Yep.
right now I had a hat on, so I took it off.
Yep.
But
We're
my
in a
hair's
very clean apartment.
apartment's
Yep.
clean.
Yeah.
My hair is always pretty well kept.
Yep.
Sometimes I don't shave. I can't really grow a beard very well, so I keep scruff.
Yeah.
But during COVID, I almost I went like full Clooney.
Yeah.
Scrap deodorant.
There you go. Ooh, okay.
I didn't do it. Consciously at first. I didn't do it on purpose. Now that I go out and I see people, obviously we talked about a couple episodes. I'm back to lavender deodorant, right? Trying to attract EK.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's certain things where it'd be like, I just didn't think about it. If I wasn't going to see somebody, I might not think about deodorant.
If you graft it, I bet hygiene has seen a huge drop since the
COVID?
pandemic, right? Because
Yeah.
well, more people are. I work from home too, right? That's a big deterrent to lots of hygiene actions. If you don't have to go out, you maybe don't shower right away. Right?
Well,
That kind of thing.
I'm also a super sweaty guy.
Yeah.
Right. Which is not, by the way, this podcast is about full transparency.
Yeah.
I know that people listening to this are going to be like, "Why are you telling me that?" I don't know why I'm telling you that. I sweat constantly.
It's healthy.
So
Your body's whatever.
Well, yeah, thank you. So I sweat, which means I shower because I couldn't just
Sure.
because
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
know if I smelled.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that the lack of deodorant is causing like hygiene issues, but I could imagine this guy like ripping toots all the time, putting the covers over her face. But it sounds like she was immobile in a chair, and he's just like, "Hang tight, I got something for you."
That's really
and then
that's,
hotbox,
yeah.
hotbox.
He should be arrested. I think.
Yeah, if this is a true story, I feel like she was victimized by this too.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty brutal. Yeah.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But we're going to transition to something that it's kind of serious because now she's immobilized. She's suffering.
Yep.
Tom, the reason that you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast,
Yes.
that things were okay but not okay.
Yeah.
You had a serious health scare.
So in the interest of transparency, yeah. So I'm fine. But what I do have, I have kidney stones.
I want to say this with, I'm going to say this with a smile because I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
Top 5 fear in my life: sharks, space, ocean, kidney stones.
So I will say, when I first suspected I had kidney stones,
Yeah.
and then when I learned I had kidney stones, I did, as one does in 2025, a citizen of Earth, I did a lot of Googling.
Okay.
So I'm pretty well versed in kidney stones now.
Did you know when you first had onset pain, were you like, kidney stone?
Great question. So I'm fat, right?
No.
Well,
Handsome.
no, there are charts like I'm, morbidly, like that's a clinical fact. I'm fat.
Agreed.
So as a fat person, right, one of the things you find is your first sort of instinct, or mine anyway, is to be like, oh shit, I feel some discomfort. I hope this isn't like a fat thing, right? Because I'll tell you why. Because so there's different kinds of ailments, right? Yeah. And like, listen, nobody wants to have cancer. Obviously,
No.
I'm not glorifying cancer.
No.
We're an anti-cancer podcast.
Hate it.
But if you have cancer,
Yep.
everybody's like, oh my god, that's so terrible. That guy has cancer, right? But there's a kind of a myriad of fat person ailments.
Yep.
That people don't really have that much sympathy for. Like if you get a double bypass, everybody's like, oh, that's really too bad. I hope everything works out okay. But they're also kind of like, well,
You're fat.
Yeah, you're fat.
Yeah.
You didn't, So like when I get fat, like when I get pains and things, I'm like, oh, I hope this isn't like a fat person thing, because it's like, oh, did I literally like put too much food in my body that my body couldn't hit? Are my joints like, you've put too much weight here? Like, can you stop shoving food in your mouth like a baby who can't stop?
This was
fast
one nacho too many.
Right, yeah. Like, can you just like exhibit some self-control so that we can function normally, please, Tom?
Of course.
Right. So, so that was my first concern. So kidney stones, not that bad because it's probably not. It's not a totally fat person thing, right? It's like probably fat adjacent. Because if you, with my googling, diet plays some role. So hand up. That might be some of it. Some kidney stones it doesn't. Probably mine it does because I have terrible diet.
It's hydration too, though.
So it's hydration, but diet, it's like sodium, right? Because it's like helps dehydrate. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So if you have a really shitty diet and you have a lot of sodium, processed foods, like everything. But it's funny too because I think like when they write up the like causes, right?
Yeah.
They do the actual causes and then they go and then the editor, right, for the causes, like the MD or whatever, is
Covers
just like
everything.
throw in stress
yeah.
and diet. They're like, well, we don't really think that's related. They're like, it probably is. Just put stress and diet on there so that people know like that's probably part.
Which is funny because
right?
stress relates to diet too.
Yeah, 100%.
So it all goes
And
in.
right, yeah. That's I'm a super stress eater. So anyway, so I was almost like a little bit relieved that it's kidney stones in a weird way, but kidney stones very painful. Also, good for the podcast because you mentioned right, like needing a female perspective.
Yep, we do.
So I was reading, and I saw some people in Reddit forums, Reddit threads. So you know it's true. Women saying their kidney stone pain was worse than pregnancy.
I'll bet. I mean, here's the thing. I know that some people don't pass them, right? Because they hook you up. Some people get hooked up to a machine that like vibrates you.
Yeah, there's like a vibration thing. There's obviously surgeries depending on how big they are. I don't need surgeries.
The idea of something coming out of my pee hole.
Yeah.
So like a catheter freaks
Yeah.
me out. Add that
Yeah.
to the list of things I don't
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Have you ever get soap in your pee hole, like in the shower?
I don't think so.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, cancel the day.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. Dude, it is a wrap.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm going back
yeah,
to bed.
yeah.
Anything in there, I'm done.
No, it's pretty bad.
I don't
and
like it.
It's like passing through your whole system. So
You
it's
told
a
me
lot.
that? I was on the Middlesex Turnpike when
Yeah,
you told me that.
yeah.
'Cause I was telling you some news about my day. And
Yeah.
you're like, hey, so I'm in the ER. I'm like, oh no, what's wrong? You're like,
Yeah.
kidney stones. I almost drove into a ditch.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the worst news I heard all
Yeah,
day.
it's pretty-
I had some pretty shitty news there.
It's pretty painful. But the good news is the next time somebody's like, oh, hey, Bobby, like, you need a female perspective on the podcast.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, Tom had kidney stones.
I'm sure the Greek had a worse day, so we'll get
Kinda
her
sick.
on. She can abudge your kidney stones.
I don't know that she'll agree with the assessment that the kidney stones are as bad as pregnancy. I feel like she might push back on that. But who knows?
Well, she had gestational diabetes.
I'll
so
just send
you
her
know
to
what?
Reddit and be like, look, this lady disagrees. I don't know what to
So are you feeling okay now?
I feel much better. Yeah, I feel much better. But it's like a multi sort of week process. It's just a lot.
Can they come back?
You can get more. Yeah. So like there's a lot of, again, you can find all this on the internet, but you can they can test the stones themselves to try to find but basically it's like the things you like, they're like, oh, we'll do this like, test for, again, because we live in America, like $1 gazillion that, your insurance probably won't cover for some random reason. And like, the test will come back and I'm sure it'll just be like, the guy will be like, oh, hey, yeah, you should hydrate and not eat shitty food. So which I kind of know. So
anytime that there's any sort of like surgery or anything that happens down in that region,
yeah,
I'm just convinced it's not going to work the same.
Yeah.
So like even after my vasectomy,
yeah,
like they were like, all right, so don't touch it for a week. I'm like, no problems there. No problems there. He's like, and then when you finally do, he's like, let me know. And then when I finally, let me know.
It's kind of ominous. Is that what he said?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
He's like, call me the next day.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a woman. She's like, call me the next day.
Really? Okay.
I'm like, I probably won't. So I do it, and like the whole week, I'm calling people who had the vasectomy. I'm like,
yeah.
What should I expect?
Yeah.
Like, it'll be exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'm expecting like a puff of dust. Like it was just terrible. I was very nervous the whole week. And
okay.
it was like it was Shakespeare, a much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
It was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
As far as going to the bathroom after, same thing. You don't have? Do you have like?
No,
do you have, like
it's not.
mind
So mine are small. So that's like, you know what I mean. So it's not that bad.
Small
it's like,
compared to what? Like what,
compared to if they're big enough, they have to go in and cut them out. Like they have to do surgery and like go get them. Like so, I don't need that, which was good. And there's like there's discomfort and the bladder fills and all kinds.
All right, so that was Divorce with Friends episode 5.
Yeah.
But so you're good though.
But I'm fine. Yeah, everything's fine.
All right.
Yeah, I'll survive.
Well, I think that dovetails to our first topic, Tom. So, so basically, we're getting older. So 5 years ago, if someone was going to be like, Tom, you have kidney stones, you're getting kidney stones, you're like, no, I'm going to eat that nacho. I don't fucking give a shit.
Yeah.
But we're getting older. We can't do the same things.
That's correct.
So we got a listener email that I want to start with. I think this will really kind of get into where we're going to go with this topic. I think, Tom, this person, I won't say their name, let's call them A from Gmail.
Yep.
They did give me their full name,
Yep.
but because I think this person is A for asshole.
Yeah.
I won't say their name.
Okay.
I think this is because I said that Bill Belichick, who's 70, can't pleasure his 24-year-old girlfriend.
Right.
But then I
presumptuous.
Which
But,
is
yeah.
it's presumptuous.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know if he can. I think he probably can't.
He's an animal. He's got those cut off shirts. You never know.
You know what? I didn't know Bill Belichick is known for his deep dicking ability, but I think I was more saying like as a 43-year-old.
Yes.
A 24-year-old is an annoying person to be around, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's you want to be like attracted to the person.
Right.
So like, yeah, sure, you could like sling it in there, but you want to like them.
Yeah, you
so
have a
like,
connection.
So to like give her what she wants, you have to like her.
Yeah, you're
right?
a romantic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Tom,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kiss you right in that
See,
beard.
that's romantic.
So this person wrote an email basically telling me I was a huge piece of shit. And because I'm accountable,
We get a lot.
we get a lot of those. And I actually thought the email was funny, so I'm going to read it anyway. So he calls me, he says Bobby Vito, but he writes Veto. So either he's being funny like you on the first episode or
Yeah.
not how to spell it.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was a good one.
Yeah, great
So
dad joke.
Bobby Vito, at 43, which I believe is how old you said you are, it takes a special kind of loser to repeatedly say you can't handle the needs of a 24-year-old woman. While I do appreciate the vulnerability and courage it takes to admit something so embarrassing, it doesn't change the fact that maybe it's you who are the No Dick Bozo. Why don't you get some Viagra and stop being such a little bitch?
Doesn't sound like he appreciated your vulnerability.
No,
at all.
he didn't.
That was kind of like a listen. I understand X, but
Well, I think okay. So a couple
with all due respect,
fucking
like one of
things.
those. Yeah.
A on asshole at Gmail. No,
Yeah.
it's A on Gmail. A couple things. And Tom's a writer. I write a little bit. I dabble. How about this? It can't be a fact and then say maybe it's you who's a No Dick Bozo, right? So he
Right.
says it doesn't change the fact that maybe it's you,
Right.
Right?
Ooh, yeah.
Is it a fact
Very bad, right.
or maybe it's me?
Yeah.
And how about this? And Tom's known me for 20 years. Why don't I get some Viagra? The chicks that I'm fucking around with, I don't need Viagra. Maybe if I was hanging out with you in those hose bags, I might need some Viagra. I don't want that comment to make it seem like I don't want these emails because I definitely
Yeah.
But I think really what I'm getting at here is Bill Belichick in Jordan's relationship is really about this, Tom, okay? And this is what I was getting at. It has nothing to do with his sex, okay? It's about this. This is what it's for. Okay? That's why they're together. It has nothing to do with fucking or not fucking or Pablo, what's his name? Pablo Torre?
Pablo Torre
That's just for us to laugh at.
spat with Bill Simmons.
It's just that, okay? So, A, on Gmail, thank you for your email. It's all about the money. That's what we're getting at. If you have more Viagra, email me. I'll give you my address.
Well, I just want, as a resident Jordan Hudson stan, I just want to say I think it's probably about mutual respect and
Yeah, sure.
His appreciation for her business acumen. So, yeah.
You know what? I hope it is. I hope it is. I love true love.
Yeah.
I don't think I love anything more than true love. So, Tom, I want to talk about some other examples of things that we couldn't do, or we could do as young men that
Yes.
we can't really do now.
Yeah.
So, one of them is drinking and recovering, and it reminds me of I have these two awesome friends in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Two handsome guys. Sounds like a porn. I wish
Yeah.
it was.
Ooh.
Handsome guys. Nikhil and Jonah.
'Kay.
Right? Young guys. And when I go out to see them in San Francisco for work,
Yeah.
they can go out and party.
Yeah.
And they're cool enough to be like, yeah, old man, you come party.
Yeah,
with us,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They bring me around.
You're like a novelty, right?
Yeah. And like they treat me
zoo animal.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, look at this.
And like, Nikhil, we went out to this party, and Nikhil's like, let's do a jersey swap. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And he had to explain it to me. There's a photo of it, and he
Yeah.
had this like cool like suede jacket.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
And he's like cut up, and I definitely couldn't wear his jacket. But either way, so we hang out, and we're partying all night. We're probably drinking the same amount.
Okay.
The next day I see them, I'm a legit bag of shit.
Yeah, you need a week off. Yeah.
I almost want to quit.
Yeah,
I almost like, what's the leave of absence policy?
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Is there an FMLA here at this
Yeah.
company? But you wouldn't think that they did anything.
Right.
So I know I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that probably started for me 20 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a hard cutoff.
Yeah.
There was a day that I was like, I'm invincible, and then the next day I was like, I'll never do that again, and then
Totally.
I could do that again.
Yeah.
And then it started with like, just don't drink on the weekdays.
Right.
And then it was, okay, a hard Saturday will bleed into a Tuesday if you're not careful. Do you
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I drink like twice a year now. It's like you can't. I think that's a theme with getting older. Is just all the recovery stuff stinks, right?
Yeah.
Like that stuff all goes away. You can't. You can't recover from anything. Whatever. Yeah.
How about this one? This actually is why I'm in the career that I'm in now. So it's letting your age make people think you're smarter than you are or up on trends. So like
Yeah.
the reason I bring this up is I used to do on-air traffic and continuity. So
Yeah.
what that meant is back in radio in the day,
Yeah.
like traffic and continuity was like there was just a log that
Yeah.
said like this commercial plays here,
Yeah.
and I had to work with production and the radio staff to get
Yeah.
the commercial on there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And they were like, can you put banner ads on the website?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
So I went home and I Googled that shit.
Yeah.
And I figured it out on the weekend.
Yeah.
And they asked me that because I was 24.
Yeah.
So I lied.
Yeah.
They would not have asked me that now. They would have been like, you don't know anything.
No, well, and I think the other thing about being young and that you lose as you get older is a couple things. One, just memory. So my memory used to be really good. It was a strength.
Yeah.
Your memory is still good, but it's better than mine.
It's getting worse.
Mine has gotten just like markedly worse, and I don't know if it's like
think it
lack
is?
of sleep in it. Oh, so bad, so bad.
Yeah, lack
like
of
I
sleep
forget
hurts.
like things I never used to do, right? Like forget names, things like that. And that's one of those things that is, like you say, sort of like the perception of you is much higher. It's talking fast, right? It's like I heard someone say once, Ben Shapiro sounds like what dumb people think a smart person sounds like,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
can see
Because he
that.
talks fast, right? He talks really fast. So talking fast and remembering like facts, even though that doesn't like necessarily go to like execution or IQ, it's like your perceived value is higher, right? So like you lose those, but you have to find other ways around it. So like, like this week, actually, I had a client email and they added somebody to a call. They wanted to add somebody to a call and they told me the name and then I forgot the name. So now I'm like trying to figure out what the name is
Without
through
asking-
email.
without asking
right,
them,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So then you have to just like find a trick around it and like just like I sent the invite and waited for them to add it and then was like, okay, that's the name, right? And just was like, oh, I don't think I have their contact, right? So it's almost like Jordan's first 3 championships versus Jordan's second 3, right? Like first 3, he's dunking, he's Air Jordan, he's taking off from the free throw line. Second 3, he doesn't quite have that, but he's got like a turnaround jumper and he's shifty, he's a crafty veteran. That's what you know what I mean? Like you have to find your turnaround jumper.
One of the only things that my ex-wife and I were good at in public would be if she didn't remember someone's name or I didn't,
Yeah.
we'd do this thing where it would be like we would go say hello to the person,
Yes.
and then the other person would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my husband, my wife didn't introduce us."
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah,
neither
yeah,
one
yeah.
of us knew who the person's
Yeah,
name
yeah,
was,
yeah.
but we knew that like we were doing that because
Right.
we both didn't know who it was.
Yeah, that's a
So-
good move.
so-
I'm pretty good at getting around that because I just won't. So I try to say people's names a lot if I know the name.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty good at getting around that because you can just kind of like maneuver that in conversation pretty easily. I feel like.
Some people get really mad, like we've met 3 times.
Yeah, I'll
I've
never
seen
let
that.
on that I don't know. I don't do that really. I'll just go through the conversation and figure it out. Like,
I love that.
I don't think it's that hard.
Tom, that's what I love about you. And the last one, I'll get into a funny story. So I feel like this has happened recently, and I'm not there yet, but I know based on my story that I'm going to tell you that it's coming someday.
Yeah.
Strength. And my kids are getting older and faster, right? So I can break up their fights,
Yeah.
right? Because now they're more physical with each other about like, who wants what and who's going to get the thing that they want.
Yeah.
And my oldest will take it from the youngest, but
Yeah.
now my youngest is getting stronger, so he will try to take it back.
Yeah.
So I can separate them.
Yeah.
But then if I separate them and I turn around, they're back on each other.
Right.
So it's like strength and speed.
Yeah.
But I know one day the idea of dad coming down to break it up
Sure.
is going to end.
Yeah.
So the story I want to share
Yes.
about such a story.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be embarrassing for the people involved, but this will happen to all of us.
Yeah.
So I think the year was 2008. We're living in Belmont together.
Okay.
And I had gone excessively broke from
Yeah.
numerous reasons. And I was systematically moving my things back to my parents' house.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was still the days of like the Nokia phones.
Yep.
So every Friday I would load up the Mustang, the great Mustang, with
Yeah.
a bunch of shit. We'd go back to my parents' house, and I was sleeping in the room above the garage.
Yeah.
Right, because we'd go out to like the old court or somewhere in Lowell.
Yeah.
And at least back before you slept with like your smartphone like attached to your
Right.
your penis or whatever it was.
Prehistoric times.
Yeah, back then I would leave it like in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I remember I woke up like one Saturday.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of texts and
Yeah.
from people, and they were just like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like, I hope. Let me know if everything works out. Call me when you can." And I
Yeah.
looked, and it was a text message that I had sent that I didn't send, and it was, "Hey, I went home with this girl from the bar. Turns out it was a guy. I need help." And it was my spoiler alert. It was my brother. It was my younger brother who sent that text. And I was like, "All right, I got, and it's
Yeah.
fine." He lives in the house, like it's totally fine. So the thing about my brother is he's 3 years younger, and he's like 6'3",
Yeah.
I think. And he was always taller, I guess. Not as charming, not nearly as good looking.
Well, he's pretty charming.
You think
good looking,
so?
But it's a high bar. I don't know.
God damn it! No, he's.
I
a
think
cool
you're
guy.
different. You have different charms.
We're different, yeah. But he was always heavy, and that was the year he lost like a ton of weight because he
Yeah.
was trying. He was going to be. He was in his master's program, was being a state trooper. So
Yeah.
he was big, and then all of a sudden he's still 6'3", but he's like my weight.
Yeah.
right? So the next weekend, do the same thing. Go to the old court. Come back. Wake up. Same text messages.
Yeah.
Oh my God, call me when you can. This time I get one and it says, you don't have to come into work on Monday. And I'm like, oh, that can't be good. And I look at the sent and it goes to a woman named Kelly, and it was Kelly, my manager. And it was something really bad. I don't remember what it was. And I was like, this is prison rules now. Like,
Yeah.
He's taken my fruit cup one time. I let it slide.
Yeah.
Can't let it slide again. So I'm in the kitchen, and I don't have all my stuff. So we're in the kitchen, and I'm wearing Nike running shorts,
'Kay.
dress shoes from the night before,
'Kay.
and like a tank top.
Yeah.
Because one of my friends who's said, "I'll loan you gym shoes. We can go to the gym together." I'm wearing my stupid dress shoes.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'll pick you up." So waiting for my brother to come down because I'm gonna fucking let
Yeah.
him
Just
have
get
it.
you fired.
I'm gonna let him have it.
Yeah.
So I'm standing in the kitchen in the hallway, and he comes down. He's like, "How was your night last night?" And I was like, "It was good." And I say to him politely, "Don't fucking do that shit again. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a problem."
Yeah.
And he says to me, "What are you gonna do about it?" And then he turns around
Yeah.
with the double bird.
Wow.
Now I could have just let it go.
That's a disrespect.
It's disrespect.
Disrespect.
It's disrespect. Took my fruit cup yet again. Okay.
Yeah.
So I could have just let it go, but I didn't. And I took my two fingers and I
Yeah.
jammed it right between his hip and his rib in the fleshy part.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's gonna teach him.
This is like the Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
This is some like, yeah.
This is we're about to
It's like
we're
you
about,
peed in your bed.
we're about
Yeah.
to go at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're about to go at it.
Yeah.
At that point, he turns around,
'Kay.
and this is the first time it's ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
He punched me square in the face.
Wow.
He punched me in the face. It was like Zach Morris and AC Slater fighting. I flew on the table. Okay.
Okay.
But I realized I have to fight Kevin now. Oh, I'll block that out. I can say his name. I have to fight Kevin now.
Okay.
I have to fight him.
Yeah.
So I get up, and now, like I said, he lost a bunch of weight. Nobody's picked this kid up since probably the first Bush was in office. So I pick him up, and I slam him on the ground.
Okay.
At this point, my mother, starts screaming.
Yeah, of course.
She's Italian. It was loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's upset.
She's very upset.
Yeah.
We have a Dalmatian who's like super temperamental.
Yeah.
She runs to the mudroom.
Okay.
Okay. She shits all over the floor.
Wow.
She's peeing the shit everywhere. Dad's home. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna die.
Okay.
Okay. But something's different about Dad on this
Yeah.
day. Okay. Dad comes down the stairs, and Dad's wearing the Saturday morning dad outfit, which is a blue terry cloth bathrobe.
Yes.
It has Tigger Tigger on it.
Do you have the paper? Do you have the newspaper?
No, I don't know
No?
what I don't know what he was doing,
Yeah.
but it's got Tigger. He got it for Christmas. He's so proud of it. It's a bathrobe with Tigger on it, and it
Yep.
says Dad in cursive,
Uh-huh.
and he wears it all the time.
I love
and
it.
he loves it.
That's amazing.
And he's lumbering down the stairs.
It's a great detail. Yeah.
And he's lumbering. He's
Okay.
he's gonna break up this fight. My mom's screaming, "You can't do this anymore!"
Yeah.
It's
She's
the whole.
right. She's not wrong.
Yeah, the dress shoes is important detail because now there's black scuff marks all over the ground.
Oh my God.
Kitchen tables disarray.
This is don't have kids.
Don't have kids.
Just don't have kids.
House smells like absolute shit.
Oh, terrible. Ugh.
Dad tries to break up the fight.
Yeah.
but there's two.
Parents are
Basically,
just like ready to retire. They're just like, we don't need this, you know? Like, ugh,
Awful.
God, you guys are the worst. Yeah. go ahead.
two grown men.
Yeah.
fighting.
Well, yeah,
right.
yeah.
He tries to
Biologically, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, mentally, we're
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Two grown men trying to fight. He tries to separate in between us, but in the inertia of my brother trying to reach over him to
Yeah.
get me, his forearm whacks my dad in the back.
Wow.
Who then falls down. The bathrobe
No.
opens up.
No.
And then my dad is on his back, rocking back and forth, completely exposed, which, in some weird twist of fate, Tom, ends the fight for all of us.
Wow.
Because we can't believe what just happened. Because I think at that moment, we all realize we can't fight. He can't break up these fights anymore.
So do you think your dad like 4D chessed you with that? He was like, hey, look, that was his Jordan turnaround jumper. He was like, look, I can't physically break up this fight, but you know what will be a showstopper here?
Wow. You think my dad Miyagi'd me with his
I think
dick
he
that
did.
day?
I think he did it. That was a turnaround. Nobody could block that turnaround jumper. You know what I'm saying? Like you just can't get to it physically, right? Like you can't reach it.
I must have told that story 100 times.
Yeah.
Not one time did I ever think my dad got me.
Yeah, he got you, right? He outfoxed you. Yeah, he was like, you know what I mean? I can't diffuse this physically, but
Well, either way, I hope that day never comes for me. It's coming quick as we're getting older, but we are going to move on to our second topic, which is political sexual scandals, Tom.
ooh. And why are we talking about political scandals this week, Bobby? What's been in the news?
Well, I feel like Carlos Danger is back.
That's very
Carlos Danger is back, and I love Carlos Danger. I'm going to let you. Well, can we go through? Can we go through two of them really quickly, briefly?
Yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
we get to Carlos Danger.
Yeah.
So I want to go to.
So these are political. So just quickly, like we're gonna do the political cheating. So the political cheating is interesting because it's like it's often not a divorce story, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
especially historically, because you kind of couldn't get divorced, right? Like
Well,
as a politician.
I think the first one I want to cover, and I don't want to get too in depth because I feel like the boomer generation who listens to us are so enamored with this person
Yes.
that you almost can't say anything bad.
Yeah.
But if you Google John F. Kennedy affairs,
Yeah.
it's now like
Which one does frequently, right?
I know I do constantly
every week.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
In fact, People Magazine has exposés about it.
Yeah.
SheKnows.com has lists of people.
Yeah.
Here's just some names of people, and the reason I find this so interesting is like I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like there was no internet, right? So people weren't reading about it. But there was also this weird like decorum where it seems like the media was well aware of a lot of them, but they were like, you don't talk about the president in this
Yeah,
way, which
yeah.
is kind of bizarre.
Well, there was a reverence for The Office,
Yeah.
right? So it was like you don't criticize The Office,
Which
and
he didn't have a reverence for it if he was doing this shit
Well,
anyway.
there was also kind of like magical thinking. Like one thing that's funny is like, so you know, my dad is not a Trump fan, so when Trump started running in the primary, the first time he ran, I was like, yeah, he's getting traction. And my dad was like, nobody's going to vote for him. Tommy, nobody's going to vote for that man. You know, like, right? Like for president, when people go in the voting booth, they're not going to write his name down to be president of the United States. Because it's like this president is this like
big thing.
big thing for old people.
It's a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
deal.
yeah.
All right, so here's some of the names. And by the way, I won't go through all the details. I think some of them I had to Google and figure out who they were. But the first one that came up was Mary Pinchot Meyer. Okay. So she was the sister-in-law of the Washington Post editor, right? So so that would tell me that there was some sort of like nepotism thing going on. We're covering up stories, right? So that was going on for a while.
Oh, sister-in-law of Ben Bradley. Ben Bradley was the guy who oversaw Watergate, right?
Exactly. Right? So Marilyn Monroe was obviously a huge one. And the story there, too, was, I don't know if this is true, but being passed around with Bobby, too. Oof. I don't know how true that is. Marlene Dietrich, right? So she was a German-American actress, singer.
Yep.
That one happened. Audrey Hepburn was a name that came up, and I was like, that seems to be surprising, because he's obviously with Jackie this whole time. This is all happening at the White House. Judith Exner, who I didn't know who it was, I almost didn't want to say her name because it seemed like it had some sort of ties to the mob. Okay. Like she was some sort of conduit between him and the mob.
Well, yeah.
But then the next two, I want to just touch on briefly, and I know the last one is really why we're going to it because of the news. But these go into, why wasn't this a bigger deal? So Jill Cowan and Priscilla Ware, they were his secretaries, right? They went on for a while. Yeah. And then this woman, I had to find out who she was, but her name is Mimi Alford. She was a White House intern.
Ooh,
so she started an affair with him in the summer of 1962 when she was 19 years old. And that is important, Tom, because as we get into William Jefferson Clinton, right? As I started doing research on him, and I'm sure these are all pretty terrible. I typed in affairs, and affairs didn't come up, but sexual assaults did. So it wasn't People magazine exposés on these affairs. It was assaults and all these terrible things. And we got Paula Jones. That was in 1991, but she came out in 94. Kathleen Wiley, that was in the Oval Office in 93. And then obviously there's ones before that which don't even strike the letter here, but it was Jennifer Flowers. There was the people that he had affairs with, and he was in when he was back in Arkansas for years even before then. Yeah. But the famous one, the one that kind of makes me sicker as I get older, was Monica Lewinsky when she was, she's 22 years old. Yeah. And she's like the late night comedy joke for years and years and years. And I think it took until Me Too for people to realize, like, she's in the middle of this shitstorm with the most powerful man in the world, and somehow she's like, he's the victim. It's like, that's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Gross. Yeah. And she has a podcast now, and she's done like
she's doing great stuff.
She seems like a really bright person. Again, she's probably pretty exceptional. 22-year-old to become a White House intern and gets put in this situation. Yeah, I mean, Bill Clinton just.
But like, I just gave you a name of Mimi Alford, right?
Yeah.
So she's writing these tell-all books. And she's like on tour.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, John F. Kennedy had a love affair with her. Wonderful. Yeah. Bill Clinton did this, and it's like. They're both bad. Let's put it that way. But it's like, why do people look at John Kennedy like amazing person?
Yeah, they've really whitewashed that a lot. I don't even really hear. I guess it's just because like people don't talk about him that much. Yeah. But like, I feel like more people. I mean, Bill Clinton still gets more of a pass than he should, I'm sure. But like, more people are acknowledging what a scumbag Clinton was. Yeah. But people are very willing, politically, especially if they're on that side of the aisle, to be like, well, you got to separate the artist from the art, kind of, right? With these guys, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe he's a scumbag, but like, we love him as a president, right? If you're a liberal, so yeah,
100%. So the real the main course here is Carlos Danger, the Wiener Man himself. So Tom, let's talk about Anthony Weiner. He's back in the news. Why?
Anthony Weiner back in the news.
Why?
So a couple things here. So one, I think this is kind of the ultimate divorce story because it's almost like the most exaggerated version of everybody's worst fears of a variety of different divorce-related sort of topics. So Anthony Weiner, and I was kind of surprised talking to a couple people that people who sort of follow politics or even in the age range, obviously younger people, super younger people won't really remember him, but people don't remember him that much, I don't think. But Anthony Weiner was a congressman from New York who was a sort of fast riser in the Democratic Party. He did a couple like impassioned speeches on the floor of Congress and was like kind of a darling of the left at the time. Then he had an early scandal, one of the early sort of like leaked on Twitter dick pics, early Twitter, right?
Which and it was a picture. About this before though, it's wild that he would do that, knowing how like Twitter is for pictures.
Right. And he had a picture of his junk, but like underpants, right? So this was kind of in the era when people were starting to have it, like I think probably around the same time as like the Ray Allen tweet where he like thought he was DMing somebody, right? It was like it was hard, you know, people couldn't figure out when they were DMing, when they were tweeting, kind of thing. Yeah. So he has one of those, and he has like scandal with sexting that comes out. Anthony Weiner was married. He had kids. He was married to Huma Abedin. Mm-hmm. So Huma Abedin was Hillary Clinton's chief of staff.
Yep.
Right. When she was Secretary of State, and was presumably going to be, her chief of staff as she ran for president, which was, kind of assumed to be coming. So he has a scandal. He steps down. Right. Then after he steps down, he takes 2 years off, mm-hmm. and then he decides like, okay, I'm going to run for mayor. Now, this is the particularly wild part, right? Because he decides he's going to run for mayor, and he has like his aide, like a guy who worked for him from the when he was in government, came to him and was like, hey, I want to do a documentary. And Weiner was like, yeah, sounds great. All access, right? And Weiner, of course, thinks this is going to be like his redemption story. So he's running for mayor. In the middle of the mayoral campaign, shockingly, he has another scandal where more sexting is leaked, right? One particular woman then used that opportunity to kind of launch her porn career. Mm-hmm. There's no OnlyFans at the time. She would have, I would imagine, cleaned up if there had been. But tough break for her. But she was like on Fox News being like, oh, here are all the messages. So in the middle of this documentary, this comes out. This guy still has full access. And he's behind the scenes in this. This documentary is incredible.
It just came out though, right?
No, it's been out for years. Oh. It's kind of just making the rounds. So the reason that, the documentary is like mesmerizing because the guy is following Weiner around, following Huma Abedin around, watching their interactions and conversations about this as it's happening. Like he's behind the scenes with Weiner, like before he goes on an interview, after the interview goes really poorly. Yeah. And Weiner is just like a wild sociopath. Like he's like, after an interview, like he says to Huma, like, I don't know, how do you think that went? Like, I thought it went pretty well. She's like, it was terrible. Just terrible.
Well, I saw something too where like, I think it might've been during the mayor race. He lost, by the way. He came in like 5th or something like that. Yeah. He brought her up there and he was like, by the way, there's going to be more of these coming out. Like, yeah. And he made her go up there with him.
So one of the scenes that's like just insane in the movie. So the scandal breaks. He's slowly dropping. He refuses to drop out. Like they literally have scenes where people are like, hey, you're at like 10%. You should just drop out. He's like, double middle fingers. I'm hanging in, like Kevin. And he's like, he won't drop out. So then one of the things that's just crazy is, so he loses. He's going to give his concession speech. And the woman who had been on Fox News, who was launching her porn career, decides that she's going to ambush him by standing in front of the, banquet or whatever, yep, where he's going to give his concession speech. And he and Huma are going there to like go in and give the concession speech. And Huma is just like, I am not walking, to her credit, like I am not walking by that woman. Yeah, good, like for her. Figure it out. Right. So she ends up not going. To get him into the building, they have to hustle him into a McDonald's. Yeah. And this is all in the doc. Like he gives them like access to all this stuff. It's crazy. So he's just like scurrying into the McDonald's, goes up the stairs, goes to the side. And then at the end, it's like the perfect ending where the guy asks him, he's like, why did you let me keep filming? And Weiner just kind of looks at him and is like, I don't know.
Right. Well, maybe he thought like it was going to win and have like this amazing end.
I guess, yeah. Or he was just kind of, one of the things he said that was interesting was like, which I think is probably true. He said of himself, like partway through the doc, he's like, I think the reason that I can still keep going is the same thing that is the same like compulsion in me that made me do those things. Okay. Right. And it's kind of like, he's kind of a sociopath, right? Like, sure. He's like, he doesn't experience shame the same way a normal person would. A normal person would be like, oh, this is feedback externally that should correct this behavior. And he's just like, no, keep firing.
Well, I think, all right, so then something bad happens. So he somehow gets caught up in Hillary's emails. The FBI looks at his computer in 2016, and they find that he's been sexting with a 15-year-old. In 2016. So at that point,
while one of the sexts is like while he's got his kid next to him in bed. Oof. Yeah. Brutal.
So he goes to jail for 5 years. Yeah. He actually is in Massachusetts in jail. So he's actually at the Air. I think maybe in Devon's. I have it somewhere. But he's,
I didn't even know that.
So he's
That's crazy.
So he's in a Massachusetts correctional facility. He's out now.
Okay.
But one of the stories that broke was the Lisa Weiss blackjack dealer story.
Yes.
She was a blackjack dealer he met about a month after he was married.
Yeah.
And they're sexting like crazy on Facebook, I believe.
Yeah.
So what we did was we get some transcripts.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tom's going to play the role of Anthony Weiner. I'm going to play the role of Lisa Weiss. But actually, I told Tom before we started, this was going to be a podcast of many surprises. Tom loves when I surprise him. That's the that's the hallmark of relationships. So I actually called in a ringer to read my parts. So I'm going to do a quick intro because I feel like reading these, I told Tom, reading these text messages, they're read like two idiots writing on Facebook. So basically what she does is he's in Washington. Because he's a congressman at the time. These are from 2010, 2011. And he's in Washington. She's a blackjack dealer in Vegas, and she's trying to get him to come out. So basically it's like, hey, how can I get you, Anthony Weiner, how can I get you to come out and see me in Las Vegas? So take it away, Anthony Weiner, and then my ringer, huge supporter of the show, huge supporter of my life, will be reading these.
Wow. Okay.
So take it away, Tom. You're the first.
Okay, so I'm Anthony Weiner.
Yep.
Dunno. Make me an offer I can't refuse.
To get us in the mood, first we watch back-to-back episodes of The Daily Show and Colbert Report. Then, to really spice things up, we go deface all of my neighbors' Sharon Angel yard signs. Then, when we are ready, really hot, we go to the bookstore and cover all the Glenn Beck books with copies of The Audacity of Hope. I do this about once a week. You can tell I am a very exciting girl. Or if this is not your thing, we can just get drunk and have mad, passionate sex.
All right, Tom, you're up.
Oh, great. I hear liberal girls are very accommodating of others.
Of course, it is all about taking care of the little guy.
Ouch.
So just so everybody knows, that is my lovely grandmother who I called her. I told her I had this idea. I said, Nana, you know Tom. She's like, I love Tom.
Aw, yeah,
and Tom does know my Nana. We've been to Atlantic City many times.
Yes.
And I said, I have this idea. Can you read these dirty texts? And she's like, I don't know if I could read these dirty texts. And I said, Nana, if anybody can do it, it's you. And she's like, okay. So I went up there. And I went up there at 7:30 in the morning on Wednesday.
Wow!
And she answered the door just like Nana would, in a bathrobe and curlers.
Okay.
She had a cup of coffee.
She didn't have to break up any fights though.
Nope. She was great. And she was a complete professional.
Yeah.
The whole way up there.
That was incredible. She should be like a voice actor.
Oh,
she was great.
She's phenomenal. There's more.
Yeah.
There's so much more. We have more.
Yeah.
She was phenomenal. And what happened was I was preparing myself mentally to hear my grandmother say these words, but she was so good. I just was immersed that she was Lisa Weiss. She wasn't my grandmother.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more, and
Okay.
I think Tom, you're actually almost off the hook. But we're going to start here with September 22nd,
Yeah.
2022.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go here.
I am drunk and thinking about you. What have you done to me? I am being bold, and I'm leaving you my number. Call me. I am super drunk now. Oops. And want to talk to you. Am I like a Facebook stalker? Am I allowed to drunk dial a congressman? I think you are so totally hot. And you are lucky I don't have your number right now.
Sorry.
And then how did Anthony respond?
So Anthony, how did I miss this chance to rock your world by phone? Give me another chance. Stalk me, baby. Very hot.
Very hot indeed. So that was in September of 2010. Now, Anthony did resign in...
Can I just
sure.
quickly, what a cornball Anthony is.
Oh yeah, these texts are
These
awful.
Are crazy. Yeah.
So, and that's why I was like, I had to kind of take away her first comment about but his response was, "Dunno, make me an offer I can't refuse."
Yeah.
It was all stupid shit.
Yeah.
So this is the last one. So this was February 2nd of 2011. Now, if you remember, he resigns in June of 2011. So this is basically the beginning of the end of the two of these morons. But here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Where are you, you hot congressman? Let's have some fabulous sex.
You think Nana said that to JFK? I think she might have.
She may have.
That
But
was-
by the way, I tried to tell her it was Facebook sex because they did it on Facebook, but I was not going to say the word sex to Nana. So
That's
she thought it was fabulous. It
Totally,
was.
yeah. And then my response here is, "Hey, sexy baby, I miss you." Again,
Yep.
super corny.
So thank you to Nana in
Yeah,
New
that's incredible.
Hampshire for
I
killing
feel
it.
like we'll have some good Nana drops there.
I think we will.
Yeah.
So Tom, that was my big surprise for the pod.
That was an incredible surprise. A plus. I was shocked.
Shocked.
Shocked. I didn't know when you said you had a surprise. I didn't know. I just envisioned like friend of the pod, maybe male voice, maybe female voice.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows? But that was incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah, totally unexpected.
Yeah. So that concludes our.
Well, just to put a bow on the wiener thing quickly, I think like the thing that I think is interesting is again, it's like all the worst fears in a divorce, but super exaggerated. So wiener behaves badly, humiliates Huma, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Super humiliating publicly. And then just like doubles, triples down, right? She's like, and one of the things that's in the doc, again, that's like, kind of sociopathic behavior is like he keeps trying to push her to go to the campaign stops and she's just like, I don't want to keep doing this, right? So she's got to like publicly be humiliated over and over and over again, right? So his behavior reflects poorly on her, but I think almost a happy ending in a way, because the reason that this was like came up is he's running again. He's running for like Congress, right?
Where? In New York?
In New York, yeah. So that's why he's like back in the news. He did an interview with Adam Friedland, which was really funny. Friedland's a comedian. So, but then like the sort of end to the story is Huma now is married to Alex Soros, son of billionaire George Soros.
Okay.
And the heir to like the throne of, so George Soros is the guy who like Alex Jones that everybody always say is like turning the frogs gay or whatever. Like he's the boogeyman for every conspiracy from Republicans.
Yeah.
And Alex Soros is like the heir apparent to basically like, Democrats. So it's in a way, it's almost like, so again, right? Like wiener, super public, humiliating, kids get dragged into it, goes literally to jail, right? Like humiliates Huma, but Huma ends up with billionaire scion, like Alex Soros, gotta be tough for wiener, right? Like, but he's got to kind of like own it.
Well, I think another nugget you threw out there was that Bill Clinton officiated their wedding.
Bill Clinton officiated their wedding, which is a wild turn and super. And I think it's like, again, right? Like to sort of like with Kennedy, it's like these, and I think that's part of the fascination with these stories is that like how it affects Huma and who this guy is. And like, he's kind of like all these shows that are like the angry male, right? Like the Tony Soprano, the Breaking Bad, right? Like the characters in these shows are like talented but deeply flawed guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like John, like Mad Men, right? Like, and that's who these guys are, right? Like people are kind of fascinated by that, I think. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's probably gonna. I would say he's gonna lose again, but where we are politically, like, who knows?
Yeah, I think these cycles are so fast now, right? And it's like, I don't know if maybe people don't care and they just, he's a very talented politician. He's like, the thing is like, again, right? Not unlike Clinton, right? Like he's clearly a smart guy.
Yeah.
And a talented politition, but yeah.
His dick is coming to a screen near you, Tom.
Probably.
That's basically how to say it. So we have our last segment. So last week we didn't have an NDB because of the turnaround, but we do have a new one. We were actually going to have a special guest come on and do it with us. So Dean Corsi, the writer of our theme, he's from Watertown, as we talked about, and he was going to come on and do it with us, but unfortunately, due to timing, he was not able to do it. So we're going to do it without him. So we actually picked one from Watertown. Tom and I have some fond memories of Watertown. We used to live together in Belmont and Watertown.
Yep.
So we picked one from Watertown.
Yep.
He goes by Professor Soft Eyes.
Yep.
Okay. And is a person named Mark. All right. So we ready?
Hi, Tom and Bobby. Professor Soft Eyes here. And do I have an underachiever for you? This week's nomination is Mark from Boston. Well, technically Watertown. Mark is from Watertown and wants you to know this so badly. All of his photos are of him in either shirts that say Watertown, Watertown High School, or as I've come to learn, are taken from Watertown establishments, like Greg's, the Halfway, and what I figured out was the Toyota of Watertown dealership.
Oh.
And no, he doesn't appear to work there.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so far, I kind of like Mark. I'm gonna be honest. I as I mentioned, I love Watertown.
Yep. It's a great
And
town.
I heard this earlier, and as soon as she said Greg's, I was like, early bird special at Greg's was legit.
Yep.
I think it used to be like $9, $9.99 for prime rib.
Yep.
super salad with
Yeah.
crackers, prime rib,
Yeah.
and a dessert.
Yeah.
For $9.99.
Incredible.
Greg's amazing reference.
Yeah.
Halfway Cafe on
Yeah.
Route 20, amazing.
Yeah.
My first Toyota was at Toyota Watertown,
That's pretty crazy.
and he's wearing Watertown paraphernalia.
Yeah. Watertown. There's a lot of towns in Mass where people who are from that town love being from that town.
But you know what's lovable about
Watertown's
Watertown too?
high up
It's
on that
like
list.
it's kind of like where you're from.
Yeah.
There's no good way to get there.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so when you're there,
Yeah.
it's like you got to make the best of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? You don't know where else to go. All right, so what else we got from him?
Mark is tall, which is nice.
Oh, okay.
6'3" and has blue eyes, so we can call him handsome.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if he knows how to smile.
So I want to pause right there. So one of the notes. So I'll read this again. So Soft Eyes is the teacher. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do I know about teachers? She's probably really horny, maybe a swinger.
Wow,
I know
okay.
about teachers, but lovely voice. So she said she had to make this short because due to her profession, she didn't know who would listen and hear her voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she said, and I saw the photos, so I kind of agree with her. The face was more that he had lack of expression.
Yeah.
So he didn't smile. It was like the face kind of like the pictures kind of happened around him.
Yeah.
And she said that in the school district, when the kids have that face and like picture day, they call that dumb face.
Oh,
which
wow. Yeah.
it made me laugh because I was thinking about like every awful picture I've ever taken
Yeah.
at school. I'm like,
Yeah.
did I have dumb face?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like I've seen that face before on kids
Yeah.
and people like Mark, and I think, I bet you, without even knowing why, he get punched in the face. Like he went to a bar and he walked out and got punched in the face. He didn't know why.
Because of his face.
And I kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah. That's
So
tough.
dumb face. I feel bad for Mark.
Yeah.
So far I like him.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Not
sweet.
everybody has a great smile, you know?
I bet it's great.
Mark is a man of simple taste and describes his perfect meal simply as chicken. It's obvious from his photos he goes to the gym, but I also know this because he says, quote, together we can do anything you want except go to the gym. 'Cause I do that alone.
Goes alone.
Mark says he put his dating radius
So I recently saw somebody say that they think Jim is a good like early date.
Together.
Yeah, because you know what I mean. It's like you kind of see what they do, they see what you do. It's like you talk, you find out, like you know what I mean.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate it.
Shared experience. If you're both gym people, you know.
I don't hate it. I feel like if you want to tell people you go to the gym, but then you're like, I do that alone, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's a little much. Yeah.
Because then he's like, my favorite thing is chicken. Like that's your favorite dish.
Well, he's going to the gym all the time. He's ripped, 6'3", cut.
I'm one of those people who overuses the word sociopath.
Yeah.
But like, if you're like, I eat like my ideal meal is chicken breast. I go to the gym alone.
Like boiled, or you picture the chicken breast is like
Yeah.
no seasoning,
Yeah, no
skin, no marinade.
Yeah, like I had a roommate one time who
boiled
like,
chicken breast.
he would get those individually wrapped Tyson's chicken breasts, keep in the fridge, and he'd cook it in the convection oven.
Yeah.
And he would just season it with salt and pepper. I was like, I think he's a sociopath.
That's a lot. That might be a social.
That's like, you know what I mean? That wasn't Mark based on the description, but like that kind of sounds a little scary, right?
Yeah, sounds intense. Sounds intense.
All right, so I'm kind of on the train right now.
Okay.
at 4 miles, which a quick Google search is the size of, you guessed it, Watertown.
So he wants to
but
stay in
he'll
Watertown.
consider Newton. And
All
while he
right.
owns a car, he'd
Newton's-
rather not travel. So there he is, this Mark from Watertown, the No Dick Bozo of the week.
Wow. So he must live close to chicken in a gym, right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really use his car.
Well, I feel like they have a lot of that over there. There's Planet Fitness in Waltham,
Yeah.
and then there's.
This guy's not going to Planet Fitness.
I guess that's true too.
Hardo.
Do you think
gym
do
guy.
you think he's got a home gym?
Oh, maybe home gym. Yeah, that could be, but definitely not Planet Fitness. He probably does both. He probably has a home gym and goes to the Hardo gym. Whatever
probably
is
does.
nearby. Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. Let's give Mark and Professor Soft Eyes a round of applause for the No Dick Bozo of the week.
Always appreciated.
And now, because Dean couldn't be here, he did send some thoughts on Mark. Now, he said he didn't know Mark, right? So here was his thoughts on the photos, okay? He said, he seems like the type of kid whose Instagram would be flooded with pictures of his own lawn and captions them with bad sexual innuendos to get off to later. Now, that's funny on so many levels, but I was like, oh, he thinks he owns a home.
So yeah, I will say. So if Mark is eating chicken and going to the gym, if he doesn't already, he's going to be a lawn guy.
Yeah.
Right? If he doesn't own a home now, he will own a home and he will be a lawn guy.
He'll be a long guy.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Based on the shirts and the outfits and where he hangs out, because he's proud.
He'll be
because
big, yeah.
Watertown doesn't have a lot of homes with at least big backyards.
Right.
So if you have a lawn, he's going to maintain it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Overall impressions. This was my favorite part about it because this was like he doesn't know him, but he
Yeah.
knows a guy like him.
Yeah.
And this knew a guy from high school. Sort of reminded me of Mark. Dude had an older brother, super smart. He went to Harvard. Mother, sweetest woman ever. Anyway, this kid wasn't getting to Harvard, so ended up at Framingham State. Would come home on weekends, get smashed, pass out in the garage, and no joke, occasionally shit himself. Said state school was best.
Who hasn't?
You're right. Said state school was best. Didn't want to end up being the Ivy League kid who dropped out and embarrassed his family. How could you not love Watertown?
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Great question. How could
Yeah.
you not love Watertown based on
So is he then? He's the Ben Affleck to his brother's Will Hunting. Yeah.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. So
Chucky? Was
sounds like whoever this Mark is, he's the underachiever.
Yeah.
And Dean knows a lot of guys like that from Watertown.
Apparently, yeah. Yeah.
But maybe Professor Soft Eyes will maybe it'll be a hit. Who knows?
Yeah. Should whip him into shape, maybe. Yeah.
You never know. Well, we're about out of time. I think we're about an hour and 10 minutes into this podcast. So we want to thank everybody for sticking around. And since Dean couldn't come here, I do want to give a plug. He's got an upcoming show. It's at Chapin's Bayside in Dennis. It's July 27th. So if you're in the Dennis area, if you're anywhere in the Massachusetts area, and you want to go see Dean and that sweet, sweet ass, just don't touch it because he is married. His wife will be very upset with me. Go to Chapin's Bayside in Dennis on June 27th between 5 and 8 p.m. If you Google them, they do have a website. His name is up there. It is an official show. I am quite sure of it. You can see that again, June 27th, 5 to 8 p.m. at Chapin's Bayside in Dennis. Plug. So you can email Tom and I at divorcewithfriends@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, which is pretty shitty right now, but it's going to be fixed, at DivorceWFPod, on Instagram at DivorceWithFriends. And by the way, Tom, I fixed our distribution at Podbean. So now, anytime that we upload to Podbean, which will happen Sunday night, I believe, Podbean will distribute automatically to Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and now iHeartMedia. Okay?
Wherever you get your podcast.
Wherever you get those podcasts.
I have a quick thank you. So I just want to say thank you to John Bernthal. We didn't get to mention it today, but thank you to him for
5 in a row.
just for his craft. And no thank you to Ronald Rob.
None.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. But as always, we do like to say thank you for coming around. This is one of the more, I mean, they're all fun, but this is one of the funnest podcasts
Yeah, it's
we've
a
had.
good one. I think hopefully we're getting better.
I think we're getting better. So like, subscribe, smash, fuck,
Write us
review,
mean emails. Yeah.
a
Mean
gmail.com.
emails, good reviews. Yeah.
I'll take mean emails. Either way, have a great couple weeks. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. Bye.
I think you are so totally hot.